woke up and I just felt like I'd been body snatched by the Grim Reaper. I was having very dark suicidal thoughts straight away of not wanting to be here and wanting to end my life. And I was really scared, if I'm being honest. It was very unlike me. I'm quite a bubbly, gregarious person. This is very, very out of character. But it's also really hard to pick up the phone and ask for help when you're feeling like that, just to get the words out. So I put it in writing and I emailed my GP, and I got an email back straight away. Basically, the email said, this is me. I woke up this morning. I'm having suicidal thoughts. I'm scared and I need to speak to someone. And I got an email back straight away from the pharmacy that was attached to the GP surgery. And they said, you've emailed the pharmacy by mistake. You need to contact your GP, which is kind of laughable now. Whenever I tell this story on a stage, that's the point where the audience almost laugh or just gasp. But the reality was that, everyone was going through something in lockdown and people were just max capacity. So anyway, I then called the GP, got a lovely old lady on the phone, explained how I was feeling, and she said, look, we're really busy. Can you call back tomorrow? And again, that's worthy of a laugh, isn't it? Because you just think maybe at that point during lockdown, she had normalized people ringing like that. Maybe she was, I'm sure nobody means to be like that down a phone when someone's calling and they're suicidal, but she had almost normalized it maybe in her head. Anyway, I broke down in tears. She understood the gravity of the situation at that point, and then she got the GP to call me in the afternoon. So he rang in the afternoon. At this point, I was barely able to string the sentences together of, all those feelings had been building momentum all morning. And he said, I'm going to prescribe you some antidepressants and they'll be ready this afternoon. So come across and get them. And he did say, take one straight away, but it will put you in a worse place before it pulls you out of that hole. That's how antidepressants work. But at no point did he say, do you want to come in and speak to someone? And at no point did he ask, are you taking any other medication? Or did he look at my notes to see that I had reordered amitriptyline on the
Yeah.
Monday? Now, it turns out amitriptyline is also an antidepressant, which I didn't
Right.
know.
Right.
And again, that's why it's so widely prescribed. But it essentially had tiptoed into my very broken brain and was amplifying all these very negative thoughts that whole week. So anyway, I went across at 4 o'clock to the pharmacy, who had already told I wanted to kill myself, and picked up 2 bags of drugs. And I went home and was completely detached from my own self. I always refer to it as sort of watching my life through a movie. I was robotic in my behavior. It was like planning a deliberate mission at work. I tidied my house. I wrote my mum and dad a suicide note, and I didn't cry once. All of my emotion was completely blocked. And I then, had dinner, had a shower, did my hair and makeup, and put on a nice dress. And at midnight, took a huge